What's up, guys? If you hear a couple noises in the background, don't worry, it's just my fiance doing the laundry. The washer and dryer are literally like right in front of where I do videos, so no big deal. Life goes on, you know, even through YouTube videos. What I have here are two Striders, and at first glance, these are both double gunner grips. At first glance, they look exactly the same, right? They both look like just regular old Striders, other than this one being flamed. Even at a closer inspection, you might still think they're just two regular Striders, right? Get that in focus. Sorry about that. Just two regular Striders, right? I mean, but one's a fake. I don't know if you've already picked out which one is fake, but if you've watched my channel, you know which one is fake because you know which one is mine. This one is real. This one is not. But the knockoff is so spot on that I had to make a video. I got this knife. This is not my knife. I got this in for sharpening, and it's going to be a doozy, by the way, because it's a nightmare grind. But it is a Strider SMF double gunner grip clone. And it is so spot on that it's scary. It's fine, Chelsea. If you don't know Striders and you've never owned one, or if you have owned one and you just didn't really pay that much attention to its anatomy, then you would probably think this is just a legit Strider. It has the Strider feel. It has the Strider weight. Solid lockup. Smooth action. I mean, it's really smooth action. Incredibly smooth action, actually. Probably smoother than my real Strider, which is kind of sad, actually. The frame is titanium. So is the pocket clip. It's non-ferrous. I've already checked that. It's really, really, really close to a real Strider. I went over this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and I picked out every aspect of it that is not Strider, and it's honestly kind of a short list. I remember seeing on the forums where Mick Strider said that he's handled one himself, and he had a hard time knowing that it was a fake, and to me, that sounds like either Mick Strider doesn't know his own knives or that it's an exaggeration or an embellishment, because I knew almost right away, even if I didn't know, well, that's a little too dark, isn't it? Even if I didn't know that this wasn't a clone, I would have still known almost instantly. But I have a fairly trained eye when it comes to Striders, so this video is not to bash the clone. It's not to get into the politics of copies. I disagree with copies completely, but I know they're not going to go away because I'm a realist, and I do think that they have their place in some circumstances. So this is not a knockoff bashing thread at all. God, this is not a forum. This is YouTube. This is not a clone bashing video at all. This is to inform the buyer of what to look for when it comes to legit Striders and knockoffs. So I've made a little list here, and I'm going to go through it for you guys' benefit. You guys is y'all, whatever. First thing you notice is the thumb hole. To me, it's very noticeable. But the thumb hole on the knockoff is smaller, noticeably smaller. I don't have a caliper or a mic or whatever to gauge it or to measure it, but it is noticeably smaller. So that's the first thing that caught my eye. Second thing that caught my eye, I'm going to bump up the brightness since I'm zoomed in here. Second thing that caught my eye was the pivot. It's a little bit shinier than Strider's pivot. It's almost this painted look when Strider has a more parkerized look, more mil-spec kind of finish on it. It's not shiny at all. It's just kind of a rugged look to it. And this has a painted, shiny, almost has like a chatoyance. Another thing I noticed was the pivot, the actual pivot tool, which I need to demonstrate. Okay, as you can see, this Allen key fits the Strider pivot perfectly. It locks in there. I can turn the pivot. I don't want to adjust my knife. I think it's about right there. Check. Yeah, perfect. No blade play, even though the pivot's loose. This Allen key fits the Strider, the real Strider. This Allen key does not fit in this hole at all. And this is a really funky pivot because even if I go next step down from this size Allen key, it still doesn't fit and it just spins loosely inside there. So this is not a known size of Allen head that I can come across. I've tried many different sizes for many different brands. I don't have a single Allen key that will fit that. So that's kind of strange. Going down my list here, the pivot's not right. Thickness of the G10 and titanium. I'm going to close the blades for this. I want you guys to pay close attention to the thickness of each of these. The thickness of the G10 and the titanium, both of those are thicker than the real deal. Look up here and you'll be able to tell the main difference. The G10 is thicker on the clone, and subsequently the jimping doesn't feel as sharp as on the legit Strider. So that's something to look out for. There you can clearly see that the pivot, the titanium, the pivot, God, it's way too late to be making a video. The titanium and the G10 are noticeably thicker on the clone. Another thing are the symbols down here. Strider hasn't done the Boss Heat Treat logo or USA for a while now. I'm almost positive for a few years they haven't done that, maybe longer than that. It's just been the single flying penis logo and Strider on the other side. Yeah, they do actually call that the flying penis. I don't know why. It doesn't really look like a flying penis to me, but whatever. Just the singular Strider word over here and then the Strider logo. This is embellished way too much. That gives it away. That's probably the most noticeable thing that gives it away. Mick Strider actually commented on that. One thing that I found that's wrong with this knife that probably not a lot of people will know is that if you loosen the screw down here, the female end of the screw down here is not knurled. As you can see, it's just a smooth female pivot. On the Strider, this outside portion right here is knurled to keep it from spinning inside the G10. It grips the G10 and, like I said, keeps it from spinning. That's its job. So that's one of the things that you would notice right off the bat if you took this knife apart, which I didn't do. I just did this part right here just to check that portion, and it is different. So that's a tried and true method to know whether it's a knockoff or not, is check. Like I said, these female ends right here will have knurling on the outside to keep them from spinning. Going down, the Lockface, that's a big one. As you can see on the real deal, the Lockface has this kind of radius. It's not a linear grind, it's kind of radiused like that. It has a curve to it, as you can see, kind of radiused. On the clone, it's more linear. as you can see, pretty much straight across. I mean, pretty much no radiusing at all. So, real deal. See the radius? Linear. One thing I noticed also is that burn mark right here where they ground the Lockface. That's somebody stuck that on the grinder for a little too long and let it get a little too hot. So that may have compromised the steel in that area. Also, if you look at the grind marks on the real deal versus the clone, you'll see that it's totally different machining marks. I'm trying to get it in the light. The real deal has much rougher machining marks, which is kind of sad, but whatever. Lockface grind marks are off. With the gunner grip, the first thing that should catch your eye is the fact that it's flamed, heat anodized. I'm not sure any of the factory Striders have ever had, any of the factory gunner grip Striders have ever had a heat anodized locking side. So that's one of the big tells. As far as the gunner grip goes, the Strider is cut a little bit more fine, and it does have a little bit higher peaks and a little bit lower valleys. You can't really see it on the camera, but it does have a distinct feel. This is just a little bit smoother than the real deal, and that's just another tell. So let me count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minuscule things that let you know that this is not the real deal Strider. Like I said before, in the big scheme of things, if you weren't very versed in a Strider's anatomy, then you would have absolutely no clue. No clue at all. It's that close. And it does not feel cheap. This knife is built like a brick shit house. I mean, it is actually really, really, really good as far as quality. I mean, the steel I think is listed as 440C, which if it is really 440C, then that's actually not that bad. I mean, 440C was cutting edge steel 20 years ago. So, I mean, for somebody that has always wanted the feel of a Strider, but never really feels like they want to spend $500 on one, then I don't say I will agree with a purchase of a knockoff, but I can see where people are coming from all day long. I mean, I can relate, because not everybody can or is willing to spend $500 on a Strider. So I say, if it makes you happy and you finally get to use the platform and see what it's all about, then more power to you, really. I mean, I'm not going to judge you. So, I mean, it really is just spot on. There is absolutely no blade play in any direction. It locks up solid, and it locks up early, surprisingly. Check that out. I mean, it's quality. There's no getting around that. It's quality. I think he said it's around $140, which is still kind of steep, but you are getting titanium and G10 and all that. So anyway, like I said, this wasn't to talk about the politics of knockoffs or anything like that. This was to benefit you guys, maybe you first time Strider buyers, or anybody really, just putting some more information out there in the community that's going to show real thing versus fake, because honestly, China is getting a lot better at their clones, and in the future it's going to be harder and harder and harder to tell the real deal versus the fake. So I hope this helps someone, really. I mean, it was a 15-minute video, so I hope it was worth it. Anyway, guys, sorry if I was really jumpy throughout this video. It's kind of late. It's been a long day. Thank you to all my new subscribers and my old ones. I really appreciate you guys. and I honestly wouldn't put this much effort into it if you guys weren't so great. So thank you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.